There's only one Giorgio Chinaglia. I mean, I'm a New Yorker, and in New York, you had Joe Namath and Walt Clyde Frazier. That was Giorgio Chinaglia. He was the rock star. He was a little bit of a godfather to me, a little bit of a big brother, a little bit of a boss, but a guy that I loved. And Giorgio, for everything he did on the field and off the field, no better friend in the world. As a player, you need a goal, Chinaglia. That was Giorgio. If he got one goal, he wanted two. If he got three, he wanted five. We always knew, you need a goal, Giorgio's gonna come through. So there was no player like him that I've ever seen in terms of big time, big moment, score the goal that you need. He lived for it. He thought about it every moment. How do I get a goal? And then what do I do when I score? And that's what made it so exciting. He'd score the goal, he'd do his dance, that little ugly dance. You know, we all teased him about it. He'd shake his hips. And then he was like angry at the gods. He'd point to the fans, and then he'd point to the owner's box, and he'd go, me. I mean, it was like mine. You didn't have to hear anything to have that place go wild. He was such a natural showman. But again, Giorgio would always want me to say, and all his teammates, the truth, that was just who he was. He was comfortable in his own skin. He wasn't going to be diplomatic or politically correct. He was just a lightning rod. And he would always say, look at the record. Who scored more goals than me? He was so proud of the soccer player he was. You talk about wearing your heart on your sleeve. Giorgio had that swagger, had that ego. And so yes, I mean, he was loved and hated, even at Giant Stadium. We'd have 70,000 people, and Giorgio would do something, 70,000 people would scream and boo. But then he'd score the goal, and he'd point his finger, and he'd shake his fist, and that crowd loved him. So I think in all sports, you need that. You know, New York Cosmos were not vanilla. You know, vanilla doesn't work in New York. And so Giorgio was the perfect guy. You look at soccer in America today in general, and you look at New York and the New York Cosmos in particular, Giorgio Chinaglia. I mean, I can't think of anybody who did more for the sport in this country than Giorgio, because he scored the goals, he brought the crowds, he did it for a long period of time. So I really give Giorgio Chinaglia a tremendous amount of credit for soccer in America in general, and New York and the New York Cosmos in particular. We loved him, we trusted him. He was the guy who's going to get you that goal. He's going to make a lot of people hate him. He's going to get the crowd going wild, but he was a winner. And again, if you're on his team, no better place to be.